It is important that these so-called Democrats understand this. When thousands of Nigerians die in hospital beds due to lack of electricity or lack of medication, it is a crime. They are responsible for these sanctions. They are responsible for these deaths. The same thing happens in Mali. With Burkina, we have indirect sanctions, because people have to understand. When they take their orders from the other side, they come and do everything to apply it. It is shameful. We are called putschists. We are not French. We do not understand what that means. And the local people, who surely do not even understand the profound meaning of the word, also call us putschists. Very well, we appropriate it. Over the years, as far as Burkina Faso is concerned, you may have noticed, all the bodies have been destructured. No more training, nothing left for the army. They imposed in all our major states, all our schools and all our strategic structures, what they called military councils. When we revolted on September 30th, 2022, the first thing was to find out who these military councils were and where they were. So we were able to identify that the evil was deep. And the first thing was to ask them to leave our army. They left. And what I told you not long ago, you cannot hope to find your lost object by calling on the one who stole it to come and help you find it. When we asked the military councils to leave, we felt manifestations. We were made to understand that we would not be able to get by without them. And every time they told us, it was translated by attacks on the ground. We received the message well. At the dawn of the year 2023, we decided to tell the foreign forces present here to leave, because we want to fight in Burkina Faso. They did not surely appreciate it, but why come and die on our land for us? We prefer to fight ourselves. We ask them to return home. Unfortunately, I tell you here today, as I like to say, colonization has returned. There are slaves of Ceylon who still have not understood. In the meantime, military officers wrote to us and approached us to tell us that it was a very bad decision and that we would not last 2 months. Files were written. We were sent these files to make a strategic analysis of their thoughts. We said either we are sovereign or we remain slaves forever. Indeed, when the last soldier left Burkina Faso, we understood what it was about. The attacks followed immediately. Dehao, Timnikov, Partiaga, and so on. But what they had forgotten was that the people of Burkina Faso had understood our message. And had engaged in the same way as we did. We reorganized quickly, and suddenly we noticed that all the sleeping terrorists had woken up in Burkina Faso. We reorganized the army as quickly as possible, At an unequal speed, we have created several units, and even if several others are yet to come, we have equipped them. And today this equipment continues because in the days to come, the months to come, what you will see coming to Burkina Faso must make our army a power to fear. We will not hesitate about the means. We understood that the fight against imperialism will be hard, very hard. But only the hard ones will pass, and the Burkinabés are hard, and we will pass. We have put on guard for more than a year the local valets, the slaves of Salon, so that they do not betray their country for the benefit of imperialism. Some have understood and organized themselves. Others have not understood. Maybe they thought they were smarter, but today we have no more feelings about this theft. Whoever betrays his country for the benefit of imperialism, he will be treated as such. Returning to our famous ECOWAS, since we decided to leave the ECOWAS, the slaves of Salon have been driven everywhere. They want to scare the people. They want to scare everyone. God, thank you. In a recent past, there were only a handful of people who had the right to speak. On the TV sets, that's what they said, who were ready for the gospel. Today, with the new technologies, which of course have advantages and disadvantages, everyone has the right to speak. And I think the Yayayes are the first to confirm this. Everyone can make his own analysis of a situation. We can certainly make mistakes, but when we come to understand, we are open to explain the process. Here we will explain to you why we left the ECOWAS and where we are going. Remember that it was in 1975 that it was created. And it was created for the majority of state leaders, putschists, as they like to say. It was the military who took the power and took the responsibility to create the ECOWAS, so that there was a real economic growth of the people inside this space. Later, the so-called Democrats were invited to the heads of our states. They completely emptied the community of its foundation. When on June 26, Nigeria decided to take its destiny into its own hands, we were surprised to see the ECOWAS appear on June 16th with a force in weight. Where was this force? When thousands and thousands of Nigerians were killed by terrorists. Where was this force? When thousands of Malians and Burkinabés died under the bullets of terrorists. They said that by force they were going to house the valiant sons of Nigeria who took the destiny into their own hands. Do you believe that these are women who are in Nigeria? There are fighters there. The Nigerian army is a warrior. It has been fighting for years. It is not a parade army or a peacekeeping army. And the armies of the ECOWAS have decided to unite. We are waiting for this force in weight. It is important that these so-called Democrats understand this. When thousands of Nigerians die in hospital beds due to lack of electricity or lack of medication, it is a crime. They are responsible for these sanctions. They are responsible for these deaths. The same thing happens in Mali. With Burkina, we have indirect sanctions, because people have to understand. When they take their orders from the other side, they come and do everything to apply it. It is shameful. Some have decided not to provide electricity to our countries. It is not free. We pay, and it contributes to their economy. They have tried to make Mali suffer. And of course, by ignoring all the texts and not providing electricity to Mali, hoping that the population would revolt. It does not work. When it lasted, some were forced to make their own people pay by increasing the cost of electricity. It will increase again. This gives us several lessons. Several lessons in the sense that the independence we take, the sovereignty we take, we must do everything for it to be. They have given us very good lessons, and we have understood very well. Some have closed their ports, which goes against all international texts, because we cannot close our ports in a landless country. They did it. They violated the text. The international community did not say a word.
I am not a politician and I don't beat around the bush. I am a soldier and I prefer to tell you the truth. Everyone is free to take it or leave it. Everyone drives their car, everyone lives well. We eat in the morning, we eat in the afternoon and evening, and we do whatever we want to do. We are free to speak, to say what we want. This is democracy. This is the law. That's all. That's all we know in Ouagadougou. But go and see them, the children who are skin and bones. Go see those who are starving. Go see those women who can no longer breastfeed because they have nothing left in their breasts. Go see them. Let's not pretend. If our journalists don't have the courage to go out in the field and bring back these images, it's because we want to whitewash Burkina's image. I'm telling you, it's false. It exists. When I tell you about people who eat grass, those who want to contest, I will take them to see it continues. It hasn't even stopped, because we have managed to supply some villages, but others not yet. We are still on the way. No civilian can even support us with trucks, so we can show solidarity with these populations. What kind of integrity is this? What is integrity, Burkina Faso? What is it? This lack of support has deeply unsettled and revolted us. Until we truly address the core issues plaguing this country, we will remain in a state of unrest and discontent. For the moment, we've managed to secure some trucks in the army and have been using our own means to transport supplies. However, this hasn't really added much to the support for the starving populations. And even in doing this, there's been a distinct lack of empathy. The citizens were aware of the situation, but they've remained on the sidelines. This is to say that solidarity has disappeared in Burkina. Have pity for the people. Have pity for the youth. Have pity for the children. What have these villagers done so that when the sun sets, they find themselves in caves and under trees? They leave village after village, and in the morning they come back to see if everything is okay before returning. They sleep in the bush. they cannot sleep in their
On ne
homes.
vous dit pas ces vérités.
We don't tell
La
you these
réalité du
truths.
Burkina comme ça.
This is the reality of
On ne
Burkina.
voit que nos villes.
We only see our cities. We are responsible for what happens to us, and we will be fully responsible for what will follow, whether it is good or
Soit c'est
bad.
du bon ou c'est du mauvais, ça dépendra de nos
It will
comportements.
depend on our behavior in the future.
Ce continent qui a tant souffert et qui continue de
This continent has suffered so much and continues to suffer because of imperialists.
Ces impérialistes n'ont qu'un seul cliché.
These imperialists have only one cliché in mind.
est l'empire
Africa
des
is the
esclaves.
empire of
C'est
slaves.
comme ça qu'ils voient l'Afrique. Pour eux, les
This is how
Africains
they
les
see
appartiennent.
Africa. For them, Africans belong to them.
Nos sous-sols,
Our lands belong to them.
ils n'ont jamais
Our
pu
subsoil
changer le
belongs to them.
logiciel jusqu'aujourd'hui.
They have never been able to change the logic until today.
C'est déplorable.
This is deplorable.
Mais comment procèdent-ils? C'est
But how do they
malheureusement
proceed?
depuis donc ces années 60
Unfortunately,
où ces
it is
6
since
000
the
acres
1960s
d'indépendance
that
ont
these
été donnés à
6,000 acres of independence
Ils n'ont
have been
juste
given
fait
to
que placer
Africa.
des valets locaux à la tête, selon eux, de leur sous-préfecture.
They have just placed local
Pour
valets at the
pouvoir
head,
continuer à les
according to them,
alimenter.
of their sub-prefecture to be able to continue to feed them.
Ces valets locaux que
These
nous
local
avons
valets,
qualifiés aujourd'hui
which we are going to call today the slaves of Salon, have other
n'ont
goals.
d'autres repères que de chercher à
They
vivre
want to live like the master,
comme le maître,
to satisfy the
à
master,
satisfaire
and to
le
do
maître,
everything that the
et à
master
faire
dictates
ce que
to
le
them.
maître lui dicte. Ils volent, ils
They
pillent
steal,
nos États.
they plunder our states, they bring everything to the master, and their wealth is kept with the master.
Ils font tout pour vivre comme le maître et toujours le satisfaire.
They do
Lorsque le
everything
maître
to live
commande,
like the master
ils exécutent.
and always satisfy him.
Savez-vous
Do you know
qui
who
sont
these
ces
slaves of
esclaves
Salon are? Well,
Eh
we
bien,
are going to
nous allons
explain
vous
to you what they
expliquer
are.
ce que c'est. Ce sont des individus
They are individuals who have no dignity, who have no morals, who have no personality.
qui n'ont aucune personnalité. Mais le maître esclave
But the master slave has always known how to identify these
identifie
individuals.
ces individus.
They are always ready to betray their
Ils sont
brother
toujours
to
prêts à
satisfy the
trahir leurs
master.
frères pour satisfaire le maître. Ils nous ont trahis.
They have betrayed us since independence, and others continue to betray us to the benefit of their master.
Ces individus
These individuals continue, against all odds, to help the master plunder Africa.
à aider le maître à piller l'Afrique. Ils se plaisent à le dire chaque année.
They like to say it every year. In their economic polls, Burkina is the poorest country, Mali is the poorest country, Niger is the poorest country. We are ranked among the
Nous sommes
last.
classés parmi les derniers. Très bien. Si nous sommes aussi pauvres que
Very
ils
well,
disent,
if we are as poor as they say. But when the time has come to take responsibility, we have asked this master to leave the place. Why don't they want to leave?
Lorsque nous prenons le cas du Niger, depuis plus de 40 ans,
When we take the case of Niger, for more than 40 years, some countries have been exploiting uranium to produce energy at home. From Ottawa to Paris, the streets are illuminated. It is the light. But in Niger, it is the darkness that has served us.
Lorsque vous partez dans nos États, nos
When you
sols
go to
sont
our
troués
states,
de toutes
our
parts
soils are full of
pour
precious
rechercher
metals,
les métaux
such as
précieux,
gold.
tels que l'or.
But often there is
Mais
not even
souvent,
the
il y a
slightest
même pas
road
la
accessible
moindre
to reach the areas
accessible
where
pour
they
atteindre
exploit
les zones
gold,
où ils exploitent
even less certain
encore
basic
moins
social
certains services
services.
sociaux de base. Voilà pourquoi nous avons décidé de nous révolter.
This is why we have
de prendre
decided to
le destin de
revolt
notre pays en main.
and take the fate of our countries into our own hands.
Il y a bien d'autres exemples. Mais lorsque nous
There are
avons
many other
décidé ainsi,
examples, but when we decided so,
eh bien,
we
nous
were
avons été
approached by some
approchés
saloon slaves to pass on the
par
message of their
certains
master.
esclaves de salon pour nous passer le message de leur maître. Parce qu'ils avaient créé
Because they had created this kind of polymer chain that rises to the heads of our states to serve them.
pour les servir. Et nous sommes venus briser la chaîne.
And we came to break the chain. And it is inconceivable for them.
Ils nous ont donc approchés et ils nous ont
They
demandé
approached
de
us
rentrer dans
and
l'air
asked us to enter the ranks,
pour
to
faire
make the elite
partie de
leave
l'élite
that must lead Africa.
qui doit diriger l'Afrique parce qu'ils ont une élite formée et formatée
Because
qui
they
doit
have an elite
suivre,
formed
qui
and
sont
formatted that
incrustés
must
dans cette
follow,
chaîne-là.
that is embedded in this
Nous
chain.
avons refusé
We
de
refused to
rentrer
enter
dans
their
leur
ranks. And then the hostilities began.
Les hostilités ont commencé. Ils ont fait fourvoyer dans nos zones.
They have sent several mercenaries and trainers to our area. The agents have descended into the Sahel to carry out barbaric, cowardly attacks against our people, hoping to revolt them.
En plus de ces attaques sur le terrain,
in addition to these attacks on the ground, the attacks on communication, manipulation, and disinformation are full in their ranks.
Mais les peuples du Sahel ont compris.
But the people of the Sahel have understood, and we will never be able to be manipulated again. They know where they come from, they know what they are doing, and they know where they are going.
Nous n'allons plus permettre cela.
We will no longer allow this. People are awake, and people are fighting today, not for ourselves, but for future generations.
Et merci à tous pour le combat qui est livré.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to this YouTube channel. I hope you're all doing fine. Now we all know that Ibrahim Traore has been on the limelight for the longest time, since he took power as a young military at the age of 32. Now, this young man has been the light of Africa as we talk, because of the things he has stood for and things he's doing in Burkina Faso. Just 2 months ago, Burkina Faso, he postponed the Independence Day in Burkina Faso and restructured the money that was used to celebrate, the money that politicians do use to come in big vehicles, in luxury vehicles. He diverted that money to Ministry of Health, and he bought so many tractors for the farmers, so that, because you know, in West Africa there is a problem in production of food. Now this has brought so many speculations after he actually shut down France Airlines to Burkina Faso after they went on strike, and they were in 2 weeks time there was no aeroplane, there was no flight that was connecting people from France to Burkina Faso. And when they resumed, he actually banned them. And we've been seeing how bold this man is, and some people say maybe he can be assassinated or something, but we've been seeing how he speaks truth to power. How many leaders can do that in Africa at the moment? 0 leaders. Now, if you've just taken your time to listen to his great speech, he's talking about Nigeria, he's talking about Mali, West Africa, he's talking about the black people in the diaspora. Now, we all know this great leader from Burkina Faso is doing miracles, because we have expected leaders who come, then they drive around guzzlers that consume a lot of fuel, which is being facilitated by the taxpayers' money. Now they loot everything, corruption, and you can feel the tone from his speech when he says that he's not a politician and he's not going to take nonsense, because these ministers, these cabinet secretaries who have been serving in the previous governments, now are taking things as usual, the normalcy of which they have been doing things before Adam Traore took power. Now he's warning them, he's telling them this is not going to be the way. And he also warns Nigeria. He tells Nigerian President Tinubu, please wake up, don't work for the West, don't take orders from the West. Your people are suffering because of the bad policies, tax policies that you people carry from the West. Now, which leader can have the guts to say such a thing in this modern era, where all those who try to oppose the Western system are taken down? Now, we've seen so many great African leaders who are fought in their own countries because of resisting bad policies, because of resisting IMF, because of resisting the World Bank, because of resisting the US, because of resisting France and the Western countries. Now, NATO has been the cause of problems we have in Africa. You might want to argue with me, but the fact remains NATO has played a very crucial role in making sure Africa is in the crisis we are now. And the second biggest problem we have in Africa are our own black leaders. These black greedy politicians lack morals. How many times do we see them flying to Europe because they have been summoned by Joe Biden, because they have been summoned by this guy who is Emmanuel? They have been fearing all these Western countries. Now, what will Emmanuel Macron do if you don't go to France, if you don't go to Paris and listen to his bad policies that he wants to perpetuate and he wants to perpetuate to the people of Africa? How many times have we seen NATO calling out African leaders, but they have no chance in the International Security Council? There is no any African representative there. They have taken all those things, so we still remain to be their perfect puppets. Our leaders, who are much older and very unreasonable, have been doing these things recurrently without fear, because they know they are being protected by the Western media. They are being protected by the Western machineries. It is time. My good people, it is time. It is better to work with Russia and China because they never interfere with the affairs of your country than to work with the US, than to work with all these countries that we see. They want to dictate who your president will be, where your school should be built, where a hospital should be built, who should be the prime minister, who should be who. They actually take total control. Are we still being colonized? No, this is still neo-colonization, because we say we have independence, of which we actually have no independence here. So these things have been happening for the longest time. No one is talking about it. I pray that the God we serve, the Allah, protect Ibrahim Traore and let him go ahead and implement those policies that are against the West, but that favor the people of Burkina Faso, because he took power not because he was elected, because he saw things that were being done in his countries were not good. The people of Burkina Faso had suffered a lot. Imagine, without food, fighting daily, and all these political instabilities, corruption. So he came to power to save them, and we are seeing that happening. So it is my prayer that the people of Burkina Faso may open their eyes and see that they have a God-sent leader who they should listen to, who they should adore, and who they should protect by the last thing they have. Now, the West might be having plans maybe to do another coup to remove him or another. That's always whatever they have been doing. That's the things they do, make sure that our leaders, our black leaders, have no chance to stand by themselves. And if you try, they actually have plans to bring you down. Let's pray all be well with these leaders. He talked one day about the diasporas, and he said anyone who feels so unsafe in the diaspora and comes from Burkina Faso should come home ASAP. I wish everyone in the diaspora, Jamaica, Caribbean, US, and all these countries should hear that. We love Adam Traore. Let God protect this man. Thank you so much for having taken your time to listen. I love you all.